Disgraced fitness influencer Brittany Dawn recently announced her pregnancy after dealing with 3 years of fertility challenges.
I felt like the Lord highlighted the number, our room number, which is 1104, and it led me to Ecclesiastes 11:4. One who watches the wind will not sow, and the one who looks at the clouds will not reap. Just as you don't know the path of the wind or how the bones develop, I'm gonna cry, in the womb of a woman, of a pregnant woman. So also you don't know the work of God who makes everything.
She has discussed her fertility journey at length on YouTube and TikTok and has shared some strong convictions around in vitro fertilization.
We've had very big convictions over IVF. Personally, it's just something that I never want to do. I never want to pursue that. We believe that life begins at the moment of conception, just like it says in the Bible. We do not want to have those embryos in a lab. It just doesn't seem right. That is a soul on ice.
This caught my attention because I got pregnant with my first child using IVF. I'm currently 9 months pregnant with our second kid, who we didn't have to use IVF to conceive. I'm fascinated by her arguments against IVF because she did use a different type of fertility treatment called intrauterine insemination in order to achieve her current pregnancy. IUI, as it's more commonly known.
We tried that.
We tried it.
Doesn't work.
It didn't work for us. Just one of many strange contradictions in her philosophy surrounding pregnancy and child rearing that I wanted to discuss with you all here today. I want to put a disclaimer that Brittany Dawn at this point has achieved a certain level of online infamy, and I just want to say that I'm not going to get into every bad thing she's alleged to have done. If you're interested in a more thorough deep dive into this creator, Fundie Fridays has some great videos about her, and Cece Suarez and B. Haney, I know, cover her more in depth. While she's currently best known as a Christian fundamentalist influencer, she first achieved online fame during her fitness influencer era. She went viral after posting a few before and after photos on Instagram, and from there her YouTube channel exploded in popularity. In 2013, she began offering her followers personalized fitness plans. These cost $92 to $300, and they came with a shipping fee, even though they were PDF files that were delivered electronically.
What?
She marketed herself as an eating disorder soldier, and a faction of her clientele came to her specifically because they had struggled with eating disorders and wanted to gain weight. Many of them reported writing to her and saying something like, "Hey, I've really struggled with anorexia. I really need to gain weight." She would respond with something like, "That's great, girly. Can't wait to have you on board. Here's an eating plan that recommends that you only eat 1,200 calories per day." If you're not familiar with the world of calorie counting, 1,200 is very low and very restrictive. A Facebook group formed by her disgruntled customers began to compare notes, and soon the Stop Brittany Dawn Fitness Scams petition was born. In 2022, the state of Texas announced it was suing Brittany Dawn for deceptive sales practices. Last year, Brittany Dawn reached a settlement with the state of Texas following mediation, where she agreed to pay $100,000 to her allegedly defrauded clients and another $300,000 in punitive fees that are meant to punish you and say, "Sorry, I'm bad. Here's $300,000. In a recent video addressing the lawsuit, she explains that she was young and arrogant, a mere babe of 23.
It was never my intention to harm anyone. I started a business when I was young, and it blew up and became something that I never could have seen coming, and because of that, and because of my arrogance and just being dumb, for lack of better words, and not letting my pride get the best of me and being prideful and not asking for help, things happened and things slipped through the cracks.
She describes the business as something that simply spun out of control, and she was young and inexperienced, and just didn't know how to get on top of the massive demand for her product. I can see being young as a reason for not thinking this all the way through and getting overwhelmed and biting off more than you can chew. What I don't understand is why then you wouldn't say, oh, I can't actually fulfill all of these orders for personalized fitness plans. I'm going to cancel a bunch of them. Like, why then do you make the decision, well, I'll just send them all the same thing and hope they don't notice? Like, that's where she doesn't really explain the thinking there. She also doesn't explain charging a shipping fee for something that was emailed, which was my biggest gripe.
Yeah.
She followed the now predictable pipeline of supposed cancel culture victim to Christian influencer pipeline.
If you've been following me for a while, you know that my niche has always been fitness and food and health and anything related to that. That's how I built this platform. And you know, I seeked these things out thinking that they would bring me happiness. Fitness and health are no longer my identity. My identity is in Christ.
Her fitness following is gone now. She can't do that, so she has to do something. She has to tap into a new audience. And who better? Whose arms will be more open and whose hearts will be more full of forgiveness than Christians? So that's who she's going after at this point. Obviously, I don't know what's in Brittany Dawn's heart. This is just the cynical take that a lot of her critics have, of which I am one. This cynical girly finds her Christianity to be fairly performative, in my opinion. Sunday Fridays, in her video, she points out that Brittany Dawn will say, Taylor Swift is a witch. Look at all this demonic imagery. But then in other TikToks, she'll use a Taylor Swift song.
You are not allowed to use a Taylor Swift audio if you're gonna go and make shorts about how demonic she is. You do not get to have both.
If you don't know the way the TikTok algorithm works, if you use a popular song or a popular sound, your video is more likely to be shown to more people. So she can't resist the temptation to use obviously very popular Taylor Swift audio. But Taylor Swift is a witch, and you need to guard your heart against the witchcraft. She also does these posts over and over. It's the same post where she says, this is how I used to dress before God convicted me about modesty. Look at me back then. Oh, my gorgeous legs. Ooh, can you believe that I look like that? Ooh, I'm so embarrassed. Ooh. Surely if you find those images to be overly provocative and immodest, the thing to do would be to not show them to anyone. Her brand of spirituality focuses on culture, war, rage bait.
Show me something in your house that tells me who you're voting for, without telling me who you're voting for.
Yes, of course you would vote for Donald Trump, a strong, Bible-believing Christian.
Okay. You mentioned the Bible. You've been talking about how it's your favorite book. And you said, I think last night in Iowa, some people are surprised that you say that. I'm wondering what one or two of your most favored Bible verses are and why.
I wouldn't want to get into it because to me that's very personal. You know, when I talk about the Bible, it's very personal, so I don't want to get into verses. I don't want to get into...
There's no verse that means a lot to you that you think about or cite?
The Bible means a lot to me, but I don't want to get into specifics.
It seems like on YouTube, she has a much more toned down presentation. She seems to be going after the more kind of, normal Christian girl autumn big floppy hat crowd with like kind of just standard mom day in the life type of videos, whereas on TikTok she's a lot more like Illuminati, QAnon, because I think that's what does better on that platform. I also want to touch on Brittany Dawn's description of her close connection with the divine and the messages that she believes she's receiving from God. I keep calling her Brittany Dawn. I could just call her Brittany. But she has like a two-name vibe, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's something about it that feels, southern and homespun. At this point on her channel, she claims to see God working in various ways, only to have God really pulled a rug right out from under her. Before announcing her most recent pregnancy, she announced that she would be adopting. She shows a lot of clips of her telling her friends about this upcoming adoption. They're all super excited for her, only for her to then have to post another video saying that the adoption had fallen through, which is something that they knew was a possibility. Right after giving birth, you're allowed to change your mind, and a lot of moms do. And it was just so interesting the way Brittany Dawn is talking about how this is God's plan, and look what God did for us. He gave us this baby that we're going to adopt.
Babe, you're never gonna know, you're never gonna believe what God just did. Like, he's speaking. Just the timing of it. Like, literally like minutes after I left our fertility appointment, God does that. So we talked and we prayed into it, and we decided to move forward with adoption.
If God was in that, he's working in very mysterious ways that she doesn't even attempt to explain to her audience, which I think is for the best, because I don't think that she can, because the universe is chaos and we're alone. She's never shied away from making a big announcement. When she made a video about her miscarriage, she shows footage of her announcing to friends that she's pregnant. You know, it's her miscarriage. She's allowed to talk about it however she wants. I don't blame her for making that video. I just don't understand it from the spiritual aspect of, like she'll say in the video, she says, "Oh, God warned me that I was going to have this miscarriage."
Thursday before I miscarried, we had gone to shoot with Avery, my sweet friend Avery, and she didn't know that we were doing pregnancy announcement photos, and so it was actually a shock to her, and that was such a sweet surprise. Everything from the start of that was just not working. And I remember at one point thinking, God, what are you trying to tell us? I was sitting in the back of the car as we were driving to the parking garage to shoot the photos, and I'll put one here. We did end up getting a couple, but I remember thinking, Lord, what are you trying to tell me? Like, I felt a little uneasy in my spirit. Not to over spiritualize anything, but I do believe that the Lord warns his children before things like this happen.
But he didn't warn you in time so that you wouldn't tell everyone. Her miscarriage, she explains in the comment section of her YouTube video, was actually not part of God's plan, but was the work of Satan.
Is a rainbow now on your shoulder. So
oh,
God
a sign.
Tickling
it's
you.
It's a sign.
Yeah, shut up.
A tickle from the Lord telling me to shut up or keep talking.
Probably shut up.
I'm not as spiritual as Brittany Dawn, so I don't know what the rainbow.
Talking to me?
When she announced her pregnancy, that she was able to conceive using IUI, she insisted on characterizing it as a miracle.
We are standing in faith that this IUI is going to work on the first attempt, because it does, and it can, and there's people that have had that testimony. And our God is a God of miracles. He is a miracle worker. He's working the same miracles today that he did back then.
It's quite the opposite of a miracle. You paid a scientist to get you pregnant. There's zero miracle. There's a lot of research and a lot of experiments. I don't have to explain science to you.
These are like people who go to work that day to do that, and that's all they do. So they like show up, they have like coffee, and then they stir up your eggs, and they get it all moving, and they do it, and then they go to lunch and they finish it up. Like they do this every day.
They just basically insert a catheter into your uterus. I believe it's your uterus. I'm not a doctor. I'm not great with human anatomy. I'm learning so much along this journey. We are learning so much. Yeah, they just help the swimmers swim to reach the egg.
The process, as you might imagine, involves masturbation, male masturbation, which Brittany Dawn is against.
Yes, masturbation is a sin, and let me explain why. No, it's not in the Bible, technically, if we're being technical, but the Bible does tell us to focus on things that are holy and true and pure. And when you are masturbating, let's just be honest, the things that are running through your mind are not holy, true, and pure.
Why is IUI okay, but IVF isn't? Well, Brittany Dawn explains that she believes that life begins at the moment of conception.
We believe that life begins at the moment of conception, just like it says in the Bible. We do not want to have those embryos in a lab. That just doesn't seem right. That is a soul on ice, in my opinion.
I don't understand this idea of conception as Brittany Dawn characterizes it, because when a sperm fertilizes an egg, that's not a pregnancy. The embryo still has to implant in the uterus. And oftentimes they don't implant, often because of a genetic problem with the egg. When Christians talk about conception, they refer to Bible verses like Psalm 139, verses 13 through 14. For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Knit together in my mother's womb is doing a lot of heavy lifting in discussions around abortion and IVF. Their issue was male factor, meaning the issue was Jordan's sperm, specifically the sperm motility.
I had to take a couple of months and get healthy in a couple of aspects of my life, and I did.
We got a phone call that his swimmers were swimming.
They're swimming.
They were back, and
they're back stronger than ever.
Praise God.
Really happy for them that they were able to achieve pregnancy just by Jordan making a few lifestyle and medication changes. And I just also want to say how convenient it is that the IUI is godly and good, the thing that would help them achieve pregnancy and overcome their fertility issues, and IVF, the thing that couples like Andrew and I needed to get pregnant, is not. That just really worked out.
In an earlier video, Brittany Dawn shares that if she is unable to conceive naturally, she doesn't think that it's God's will for her to get pregnant, and she'll just accept that.
My personal conviction is that if the Lord wants me to get pregnant, I will get pregnant through natural ways, natural conception.
That makes a little bit more sense to me than saying IUIs are okay, but IVF isn't. And to my knowledge, she never clarifies why she went from this stance to determining that IUIs were, in fact, possibly part of God's plan. Except in this video, where she expresses disappointment at having to go through IUI because she wanted a miracle.
I have my first appointment for IUI next week. And I'm excited, I'm nervous, there's a lot of emotions because, again, I don't want to have to go that route. It's not that I don't feel peace on it, I don't want to have to go that route. I want the miraculous conception. I want it to be a God thing. But you know what, like, life doesn't ever look like how we expect, and I can't help but think that maybe the Lord is taking me on this journey to show me that it's not going to go as planned.
Even though later she decides that having an IUI work on the first try is a miracle. There's just she's just not worried about making sense, and not everyone is. That's the world we live in.
Brittany acts like they're doing IUI and not IVF because of this conviction that they have from God, when really, if male factor is your issue, you would never do IVF. IUI, as she points out, is much less invasive than IVF. Basically like a pap smear. It's not that big of a deal. Whereas IVF, it's a ton of injections, a ton of doctor's visits, a bunch of workups and labs beforehand, and it's hugely expensive. We spent about $10,000 and we spent about $12,000.
$25,000.
We spent about $12,000 of our own money, and we had insurance coverage. So we also, like Andrew said, we tried IUI twice because they always recommend that you try IUI before IVF because IVF is so burdensome and expensive. Does make the point to say we don't judge. We have friends who have gotten pregnant through IVF and they have beautiful children.
I personally know people that have done IVF and they have beautiful children from it. I just feel like, to me, it's too much of like trying to play God.
Like, if they weren't beautiful, it might not have been as worth it, but they are beautiful, so it's great that they did that. And of course, Brittany Dawn, being the alleged grifter that she is, she can't pass up on the opportunity to monetize this experience and make a little moolah. In her video entitled "A Full Day of Eating for Fertility," she talks about her diet and her free-range eggs, how that's good for fertility.
I'm a really big believer on making sure that you are getting free-range eggs and not ones that are raised in a coop or in a pen or anything like that, because of the stress hormone that can be transferred from the egg and the chicken to you. So we don't want any extra stress hormone, especially when we're trying to conceive, so we do free-range. Our chickens at the ranch are free-range, and they are literally the happiest chickens in the world.
In addition to sharing what she eats in a day, she also shares what supplements she's taking to support her fertility journey, and she provides a discount code in the description box, which, if you don't know, that means that the influencer is making a commission off of any supplements that they're able to sell based on views of this video.
The whole concept behind this video doesn't make any sense because, like we've said, the issue is Jordan's fertility, not Brittany Dawn's. As far as I'm aware, Jordan doesn't share exactly what the lifestyle and medication changes he made were. And that's what would actually be interesting. That's what could actually help someone in her audience, is if the thing that actually solved their issue. Some cynics think that Brittany Dawn is super motivated to have a child because she plans to use that baby for content. If you don't know, mommy vlogging, and if you're watching this channel, I'm sure you do, mommy vlogging is a huge industry, and you can make a lot of money with a cute kid and a YouTube channel. She has, however, explicitly stated that she doesn't want to go that route, and that she thinks that it's wrong to rely on your kid for your social media career.
I don't want to sign them up for something that they didn't sign up for. We talked a lot about consent in the podcast. That's a big thing too.
That's great. Jordan expresses a difference of opinion.
Just don't believe or can't get behind the consent thing of a child. Like, I was raised very old school. You don't have an opinion until you're an adult. You can consent right on out the door to go mow the lawn.
I think he just hears the word consent and thinks like, ooh, that's some liberal hogwash. I, like a lot of critics online, find it hard to believe that she's going to be able to resist the siren call of mommy vlog, especially because if you know anything about her experience as a foster parent, posted a lot about her foster placement on her YouTube channel. You can't legally show images of a foster child, but she got as close as possible. I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that she sticks to her word and that she doesn't use her upcoming baby as a content mill. Like I said, we're about to have a new baby. Woo. I hope that we're able to film another video before that happens. Nope. But we will be back at some point. 10 times more haggard than we are now, but we will be back.
It might be a hiatus, and it might not. We might become parent bloggers all of a sudden.
Maybe there's gonna be
selling this stuff.
We gotta find a way.
Monetize those kids!
If you hit the bell notification and you're subscribed, you'll see when we post again, which we have no idea when that will be. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you when I see you. Bye!
Cutting?
Yep, cutting. Cut. Oh, God.
Wrap up.
Oh.
You try to get up again? I told you not to do that.
Cut. But I'm gonna stay down.
No.
I'm gonna sit here until I give birth.
Yeah.
This button has been undone this whole time.